This is the Hilton Hotel.
Overcast. Good morning to everybody. Yes. It is a little bit misty this morning, a bit of mist coming down, a little bit of rain, and there is a rain expected throughout the day today.
No!
What we've got ahead of us is we're going to be working our way for most of the morning. We will go through a large canning factory, and then from there work our way through to see them actually making candles. Really fantastic the way they do those candles from beeswax. I'll tell you more about that when we do get to the candle factory. Then from the candle factory work our way through the hub of Swaziland, the old capital city Manzini, down into the Lowveld, and we'll go through all the various plantations of sugarcane. That will take us through to the border post, where we'll have our border crossing back into South Africa, and also into the third of our provinces, a province by the name of Zulu Natal. That's when I'll talk to you about the Zulu nation and also the customs and traditions of the African tribal groups. That will take us through to the hotel. We'll be staying in Hluhluwe. We'll have a lunch stop over there in the hotel. We can freshen up before going on the game drive in Hluhluwe with the Rosie Game Reserve this afternoon. The first section over here, as we drop down, we're going to be dropping into a lovely fertile valley. And the valley is known as the Eswatini Valley. There's actually two meanings of Eswatini: Valley of Angels and Valley of Heaven. And coming up on the left-hand side are the Parliament buildings. These buildings over here get used once a year. They don't really have an opposition party as such, but the politicians all get together once a year. They discuss what the various chiefs' communities' needs are, and then if they okay it, then it goes through to the king for the final yes or no. And if the king okays it, then the people get what they want. So around every single local community, they would get together once a year, and they would discuss amongst themselves what they really need for their community. And then it will go through to the politicians over here in the Parliament buildings. You can see it's not a very big building at all. It's a hectagonal building. This building with glass windows all around it. And he's under 24-hour guard. The guard stands 6 hours a time. And also when a king passes away, all of his possessions are buried with him. Not his women and children, but all of his material possessions. Even his old 3 Black Valiant motor vehicles that he used to drive around in are all buried part of the memorial park off to the right. Maybe 1 or 2 early buyers for the vegetables. And then wood is also a very big seller, wood sellers. You can see them here on the right hand side. The long pieces of wood would be for the rafters in the houses. The short pieces of wood would be a very hard wood known as ironwood, and it burns for a long period of time, and it's excellent to cook on, to do your barbecue, or to keep your house warm at night. So it's a very big business, this wood sellers. It's only in this particular area that you find this very hard wood known as ironwood. There is a Eswatini Valley. But later on this morning, you'll see large amounts of sugarcane as we make our way down onto the southern border of Eswatini. I'm going to start seeing a few vegetable plantations now, mostly on the left-hand side of the road. Carrots, cabbages, spinach. The trees that you see with the lovely flowers, the red flowers on, we call them the African flame tree. Some people call them the coral tree.
folks, you can just gather around.
Welcome.
Just gather around, gather for something together.
That we use.
It's still soft and hot. Soft and hot.
Comes already made from Sasol, South Africa. Yes. And this is like an oven. It's at 50 degrees. It has to be soft since we mold them by hands. And we have our colored pieces that we use as colors. This is also from the same material, but we mix it with some natural powder pigment.
Because it's warm.
And there's motifs here are made by machine. The patches are done by machine. So we put it around the white wax, and then it becomes a colored ball like this one. From the colored ball, you just shape it to any shape. Okay. This is watching. He's going to make an elephant. You are free to take pictures of him. He's starting an elephant now.
The color pigment used.
Powder, natural powder pigments. Yes.
So everything is hand formed, it's what
Yes, everything's handmade.
Yes.
It's beads, right?
No, paraffin. Yes. Yes.
which we use a lot there.
Yours is paraffin.
In the field.
These wax, we use it for body moisturizer. We also have body moisturizer.
Yeah, got it. Now, yeah.
She likes attention. Always, it's our boss. Yes, she likes attention. That's what she's looking for. So he can make the other shapes, including the big five.
Is he the only one that makes
No, we've got 4 of them. Yes, 4 of them. And each one of them can make 40 of this size per day. 40 of them.
It's amazing.
And let's say you buy them and you bend them. At first they come like this. So what you do, you light it here. And then since they bend very slow, what you do, you pour out the liquid wax. And then it later forms something like a hole. Yes. And then you can put a small tea light after. Yes. Same thing with this type. We also have them in this type, that side. They do the same.
Just for the.
Yes, you can put the tea light later.
Okay, I'm putting the weight now.
Okay, there you are. After molding them, you always leave a space for the wick. So he's putting the eyes now. The eyes are also made of wax.
The knowledge of molding. How did he learn?
He was born mortar. He was born artistic. Yes, but he's been to school to upgrade his skill. Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay, the elephant is done.
Beautiful. Amazing. I'm sure they will love it.
It's all done by women.
Yes, everything's been
So the guys should eat it and burn their mouths.
Singapore. We try to use hot stuff. This should be fun.
This is a brewery known as Swaziland Brewery Company, and they produce the Sabebe beer. They also produce the other beers, South African beers like Castle, Lion, Black Label, Amstel, but mostly Sabebe from Eswatini. Trucks on both sides of the road as they're making their way through to the sugar mill. You'll also see a lot of them parked on the side of the road waiting to get into the sugar mill. A couple hundred meters down the road on the left-hand side is the very large sugar mill. So all the people that would work in the sugar industry and the sugar mill would all be staying in these small little houses off to the left-hand side. It's very similar to that of vodka. However, it's only single refined, where vodka is double refined. You can mix it with all the things that you mix vodka with. Orange juice or lemonade, Coca-Cola. Very popular South African and Eswatini drink is cane spirits.
We just crossed back into South Africa and the adventure continues.
Province is a province by the name of Zulu Natal. We're going to be in this province all the way through till Sunday. It's a very large province. It's got lovely mountainous areas of the Drakensberg that we're going to see on Friday and Saturday. It's got a coastline of just on 1,700 kilometers of lovely warm Indian Ocean that we'll see tomorrow. It's got some lovely game reserves as well, and at the moment we are just about to enter one of the many game reserves around this northern part of KwaZulu-Natal. This game reserve is known as the Pongola Game Reserve. Lots of people come and frequent this province, especially during the winter months, because very seldom does it get colder than 10 degrees throughout the whole province. Up in the Drakensberg, in the mountainous areas, it does get to 0 or -2, -3, but very seldom along the coastline does the temperatures drop. So that attracts a lot of people from around South Africa during the colder months further up north, in the higher grounds around Johannesburg. Everyone makes their way down to Durban. Now that we are in KwaZulu-Natal and we are in the Zulu part of KwaZulu-Natal, I'm going to talk to you about the very first tribal group that came about, known as the Zulu tribe. Because when I did speak a bit about the history of South Africa, I mentioned that central tribal group known as the Nguni tribe that came down from Central Africa. But once they came down into Southern Africa, they separated themselves out and they looked for suitable grazing areas. So they were mostly nomadic. And the very first tribal group to come about in South Africa was the Zulu tribe, and that was in the early 1800s. But the Zulu tribe started a very unusual way as a tribal group would start. The lady's job in the morning is always to go down to the water, to the rivers, to fetch water for the household. It's the boys' job to take out the cows, sheep and goats. So the boys knew exactly where to find the girls, down on the riverbanks. And this is actually quite surprising how this first tribal group started. There was a chief of an area, and a chief can look after anything up to, say, 10 households or 10 families, a very well recognized person. And his name was Zenzanakono, and he took a fancy to one of the maidens on the riverbanks, and her name was Nandi. And things happened down on the riverbanks, and a few months later, Nandi's stomach started to swell. And she went through to Zenzanakono's household and said, look, what happened down on the riverbanks, my stomach is starting to swell. We are going to have a child and we must get married. Now Zenzanakono didn't want anything to do with Nandi, because if he had taken her in, he would have lost his status as a chief. Because back in the earlier days, it was the worst thing that you could do was to start a family and not be married. You had to be married before actually starting a family. So he said to her, there's nothing that's wrong that's happened to your body. All that has happened is a little beetle that's got into your stomach. And he called this beetle the Ushaka beetle. So Nandi, not knowing any wiser, went back to her homestead, and a few months down the line a baby boy was born. And she called this baby boy after the so-called beetle that she had in her stomach, and she called the baby boy Shaka. She did go back to Zenzanakono's household and said to him, look, this is the beetle that you said's in my stomach. We now must get married. But again, Zenzanakono banished her and the son away from his homestead, saying that he doesn't want anything to do with him. So this young boy of Shaka had to grow up by himself. He didn't have a father figure to look up to. If the boys fought with him, he had to look after himself and fend off the boys and fight against them. He couldn't run off to his father. All he had was a mother. And this is slowly how he started to gain respect. Firstly from the youngsters in the homestead, that all wanted to be around this boy Shaka, and later by the elders. At the age of 16 years old, now you can imagine a young boy of 16 years old in the middle of nowhere in the early 1800s, already having forethought about getting a formidable group of people together. And that's exactly what he did. He went around all the various areas that were close to this particular area and got round about 60,000 people together. At the age of 18 years old, he decided to call the tribal group the Zulu tribe, people of heaven, and he named himself king of the Zulu tribe. Now there were quite a few people that didn't want to be under the rule of this young boy, and they fled up into the mountainous areas where we've just come from, into the country of Swaziland or Eswatini. Now that he had quite a few people, he had to make sure that they had a lot of land where they could live safely. And he cordoned off the borders. On the southern part, he used the Tugela River, and we'll cross over the Tugela River tomorrow. Up in the northern part, he used the Pongola River, and shortly as we turn into the National Highway, we will go over that Pongola River. On the eastern side, he used the ocean that we'll see tomorrow. And on the western side, he used the Buffalo River. So So now he had a massive big land for his people to live. He had to make sure that they were well looked after. And he got together what he called an INPI, I-N-P-I, which is a Zulu word for army. And he made sure that everyone from the age of 15 years old, all the boys, acted in his army. He put them through some very, very strenuous exercises to make sure that they were the fittest of warriors. He also got rid of their shoes. In the early days, they had a very basic shoe. They would use the bark of a tree that they would flatten, and then they would use for shoelaces either vines or grass. And he thought to himself, if his warriors had to go into battle with these shoes, it would just slow them down. So he got rid of the shoes and he put out thorn fields, and he made his warriors run up and down thorn fields to strengthen their feet. And if anyone went down and started crying, saying it was too sore, they were put to death straight away. They were no good to act in his army. He was a very ruthless man, but he was a very well-respected man amongst not just the Zulu tribe, but all other tribes that started to form themselves around South Africa. Word even went around the world about this king known as Shaka. This is the Pongola River that we're going to cross over, the northern border of Zululand. You can see how much rain it's had, quite a lot of debris that's come down the river itself. King Shaka didn't live too long. He only lived to the year of 28 years old. And the reason being is that he was killed by his half-brother, the son of Zentanakona, a man by the name of Dingon. And through the 1800s, you would find there were lots and lots of kings of the Zulu nation, because it was mostly one son or one brother killing the other brother and taking over as the next king, because of the jealousy and the status that the one brother would have over the other one. So from King Zulu, it went to Dingon, Cyprian, Pandi, Setswara, Dinazulu, and just recently the king of the Zulu nation passed away, a man by the name of King Goodwill Zwelithini. A lot of other trees are known as acacias. The acacia tree looks like an umbrella, and you can see more and more of them are looking like the umbrella tree. When you get into the Hluhluwe Game Reserve this afternoon, you'll see lots of these umbrella trees. Very flat area known as the Makatini Flats. And in the Makatini Flats, there's large amounts of cotton that is grown over there. So getting back to the African way of life, the living houses will all be the round circular, what we call rondavel, as we saw at our first viewpoint a few days ago. But those now have changed to the more square and rectangular house. However, you might always see one of those round rondavel houses amongst a few square and rectangular houses, and that would mostly still be the grandmother's hut. She comes from the old customs and traditions. She's used to living in the round walled houses, so she doesn't really want to move into the more square and rectangular house.
Hello and welcome. This is our board for the next 1 week. It's called a new hotel and resort. Very nice, huh? You see those trees out there? They're called the fever trees. This is where the malaria-bearing mosquitoes love to stay in, but they've cleared it all.